This is our video for our Lesson 19 vocabulary words. The first word is mollify. Here's the sentence. Maria became so choleric that her friends could not mollify her. So you should already know what choleric means. It's when someone has a bad temper, they're angry, they can't handle their emotions. And so this girl is so angry that there's nothing her friends can do to calm her down. So if you mollify someone, you are reducing their pain maybe or their emotions. In most cases you're trying to soothe them or calm them. So it is a verb. Some synonyms would be placate or pacify. The opposite is to enrage someone. So here's a picture. This is typically what we think of for mollify or pacify when we've got a baby, and then it's typically only the mom who has the ability to mollify or pacify the crying baby so that they can calm down. They also have, it looks like, a pacifier in their mouth, and that helps soothe them as well. Our next word is tantamount. Here's the sentence. When Pushy Esther requested a favor, it was tantamount to a demand. So even though she's supposedly requesting help, because of that adjective pushy, which is describing her character, we can figure out that tantamount means equal to a demand. So it's an adjective and it means of essentially equal value or significance. Equivalent, commensurate, the opposite would be incomparable. Here's a picture, and this is a quote by Gandhi, the famous guy from India, and he said this: "Victory attained by violence is tantamount to a defeat, for it is momentary." I think that's a powerful quote, just trying to say that just because you are victorious through the use of violence, that is basically equal or tantamount to a defeat. It's not going to last because then more violence is going to erupt eventually. Our next word is sedentary. I would hope you would know this word already. South American sloths are so sedentary that they sleep 18 hours a day and hardly move at all when awake. So your clue for this would be the hardly moving part. And so it is an adjective and it means characterized by or requiring sitting, motionless. A synonym would be an active. So people who have sedentary jobs are people who sit behind a desk all day. There's not a whole lot of physical activity going on. So here's a picture, typical guy coming home from work, he's tired, and so he becomes sedentary on the couch all evening, and he's got his remote control, and maybe he's about to binge on Netflix. Sedentary. Our next word is amenable. No matter how much the detectives pressured him, the suspect never became amenable to admitting the crime. So they're pressuring him, they want him to confess that he did something wrong, but he's not agreeable to that. If you are amenable, you are agreeable, you're responsive to suggestion or advice. You know, if a teacher approaches you and says, you know, you're really not working to your full potential, and if you listen to them and you try harder, you are being amenable to their suggestions. You're being responsive. You're being tractable. The opposite is inflexible. Those are those stubborn people who are just going to do whatever they want and not listen to the advice of others. So here's a picture of Hitler and a famous quote by this despot. The broad masses of a population are more amenable, are more agreeable to the appeal of rhetoric than to any other force. And this is so true in honors. We talked about the power of words and rhetoric. We saw that with Mark Antony's famous funeral oration, how he got the crowds to be amenable to the fact that Brutus and the conspirators should be punished for their assassination of Caesar. In CP, we've had some presentations on Hitler, and I think even Luke talked about how the power of words is what helped him get that rise to power. The German people, at least a lot of them, were amenable to Hitler's rhetoric, and unfortunately, he was able to take power and then do so much damage to the Jews and other Germans as well. Our next word is junta. I know it looks like junta, but it's a Spanish word, and so that J is pronounced like an H, junta. A military junta remained in office for 1 year after seizing power. So the context clue is military, and power would be another context clue. A junta is a noun, and it's a military group ruling a country after seizing power. Thank goodness we don't have that here in America. We've never experienced that, but we see or hear in the news juntas taking over in different countries. So here's a picture. We've got just normal people walking down the street, looks like a family, but then walking right behind them is a group of men, obviously military with their weapons. This would be kind of scary to experience. I can't imagine that. So this is a junta. Next is influx. Hopefully, you know what this means already. The rapid influx of illegal immigrants required fair and realistic changes in government policies. So, of course, immigration is a big topic in our country, and it's been part of the campaign process here with the different candidates. An influx of something is an inward flow. So, we've got illegal immigrants flowing into the country. The opposite would be outflow. So here's a picture. This is probably in an airport, and we've got this whole line of people, and they're trying to get in, an influx of people trying to come into a country. Our next word is conducive. Here's the sentence. Even after years of experience, some actors claim that appearing in front of a live audience is still conducive to stage fright. Let's look at our definition here. It's tending to cause or bring about. A synonym is contributive, and it is an adjective. So we've got a person who is an actor, and even though they have been in the business, so to speak, for many years, they still get stage fright because they are in front of a live audience. The live audience brings about their stage fright. It contributes to their stage fright. It's conducive to their stage fright. Here's a picture. Oftentimes we use the word conducive for studying, for learning. And so there's a picture here. I guess this is supposed to be a teacher, and she's got 6 tips to create a learning environment conducive to study. And here are her tips: setting a study schedule, not being distracted, not watching TV, setting up a regular workspace, using good lighting, comfortable upright seating. I don't know if you guys do those things when you're studying. Hopefully you do, but you want to be in an environment that is conducive to you being able to retain, comprehend, prepare for tests, quizzes, papers, projects. Conducive. Our next word is patina. Here's the sentence. So many pedestrians rubbed the lion statue's nose for good luck that it acquired an attractive patina over the years. It's kind of hard to figure out what this word means from the context, but it does have to do with time, and that rubbing contributes to it. Let me just give you the definition. It is a noun, and it's a sheen on a surface resulting from age and use. Oftentimes it's used when discussing antiques, the patina on a piece of furniture or a sculpture or a statue like we have here in this sentence. Here's a picture which would illustrate patina. We've got this, what was probably maybe a copper or a brass letter that's used for decoration, and you can see that the original coloring has faded and kind of this green color has come out. So that's the patina, showing kind of the age and the wear that comes with time. Our next word is plaintive. Now, don't get this confused with plaintiff with an F on the end that we see in a courtroom scenario. This is plaintive. And here's a sentence. Adrift on the lake, Peter heard the plaintive, eerie cry, so it's an adjective because it's describing the type of cry of a loon. So a loon is a type of bird that resides on a lake. So cry is basically what plaintive means. It's the context clue here. And so if you are in a plaintive mood or mindset, you're expressing sorrow, you're mournful about something. Usually it comes with scenarios where someone dies. Melancholic. The opposite would be joyful. So here's a picture. We've got this man with his handkerchief over his face. He's clearly upset about something. He is in a plaintive mood, expressing sorrow and loss. Next is pinnacle. Hopefully you know what this means already. Sam was experienced enough to know that life's pinnacles can be quickly followed by its naders. So nadir is the opposite of pinnacle. We had this word earlier this year. It's the low point. So pinnacle is going to be your high point or your zenith, the peak or climax, the summit, the apex. Again, opposite would be nadir. So here's a picture. This is literally a pinnacle because we've got a mountain and the top of that mountain would be the pinnacle. So we have things like this in nature, but then also kind of figuratively in our lives. We have high points and low points, pinnacles and nadirs. Our next word is stricture. While celebrating Mardi Gras, that festival out in New Orleans, some partying students ignore reasonable strictures placed on them by parents. Think about being on restriction. Maybe that's happened to you. Your parents have put you on restriction. Look at the word strict. This is going to help you figure out what it means. A stricture is a restraint or limit. Constraints, limitations. I'm sure all of you have strictures put on you by your parents. When you start driving, you'll have strictures put on you. In fact, that's kind of why that first license, at least when I was growing up, was called the restricted license, because you can only drive at certain times of the day and you have to have an adult with you, etc. Those are strictures for your safety. So here's a picture I put to kind of symbolize stricture. We've got a sweet little teddy bear, but he or it is being restrained, being held back by the seatbelt. The seatbelt protects us, hopefully, from severe injury if we're in a car accident. It's restraining you, it's keeping you back, it's keeping you from getting hurt. Okay, it's a stricture. Our next word is rigorous. You should know what this is. Karen tried and failed to comply with her coach's rigorous demands. So unfortunately, she probably has to quit the team, or maybe she's cut since she fails. But rigorous is an adjective here. If something is rigorous, it's very severe, it's very relentless, it's very harsh. Arduous, austere, grueling. The opposite would be easy or painless. You might have had coaches where you feel that they are too rigorous with their demands on you, maybe even teachers. So here's a picture. Oftentimes we think of rigorous with the military. This guy is being trained and the officer is overlooking his training. We've got guys in the background running. If you are headed to the military, you will have rigorous demands placed upon you, which is good because we need our soldiers to be trained to do the best job that they can to protect us. Our next word is subversive. In public, the bibliophile, so an earlier word, somebody who likes books, was loyal, but in private, so this is the opposite context clue, he was subversive in words and deeds. This sentence isn't the best, so let me go ahead and give you the definition. If you are subversive, you are in opposition to authority or government. You are a dissident. You are rebellious. The opposite would be loyal. So we could have a couple of different scenarios for this. With government, you've got people protesting. Maybe students are subversive to their teachers. They don't want to obey. They're rebellious. Maybe you're subversive to your parents. You don't want to do what they ask. You go behind their back and you break their strictures that they've placed on you. So here's a picture representing subversive. This group of people is going against the capitalist establishment, and they want a change. They're opposing the government authority. They're being subversive in their actions. Our next word is perjury. This is a noun. Hopefully, again, you know what this word is. And if you're in honors and you've finished To Kill a Mockingbird, you know that this really happens in the trial of Tom Robinson. CP kids will see that soon. Conviction attained through perjury is an improper victory in a court of law. So perjury has to do with the courtroom. If you commit perjury, you are lying under oath. If you are in a courtroom and you are asked to come to the stand to testify, you swear on the Bible that you will tell the truth. And then if you get up there and lie, you commit perjury, which is an offense which can merit jail time. So here's somebody who's about to give testimony, and this is not in a courtroom. This might be in a session of Congress or something where he's going to testify to senators or representatives about something, but he's raising his hand to swear that he is going to tell the truth and not commit perjury. So don't just think about perjury as lying. It's lying in a courtroom or before Congress. So if you lie to your mom and dad, you're not committing perjury. It's lying. Perjury has to be in a courtroom. Our next word is placebo. Suspecting the illness was imaginary, the doctor prescribed a harmless placebo to the patient. So it's a noun. Look at the word prescribe, look at doctor. These are clues to help us figure out what it means. A placebo is a fake drug that's used in the testing of medication. So we have medical researchers who are testing to see whether or not drugs will be effective before they can market them and sell them to the public. And so they do all these tests, and they have the real drug and they have a fake drug that they give to some participants in their study, and then they compare the results of the placebo to the drug that they're trying to get a patent for and get approval for so that they can sell it. So here is a picture of placebo. It's just some medicine bottles, and it's labeled placebo, so that obviously the testers can differentiate the real drug from the fake drug. So these are our words for lesson 19. Make sure to do exercise 1 and put your honor pledge on your paper.